I'm a sucker for a treasure hunt. Indiana Jones, National Treasure, Sahara, some of my favorite films and franchises. So imagine my gleeful surprise when Apple announced a new film in the genre all about the search for the mythical Fountain of Youth, aptly titled Fountain of Youth. The film, directed by Guy Ritchie, stars John Krasinski as Luke Perdue, a disgraced archaeologist who has been stealing valuable works of art from all over the world in order to find the map to the fabled fountain. His sister, a museum curator played by Natalie Portman, reluctantly joins him after he steals a painting from her museum. Both Interpol and her employer seem to think she was involved in the heist and fire her. What ensues is both a wild goose chase and a game of cat and mouse as the Purdue siblings, their small team of experts, and their financier, played by Domhnall Gleeson, jet set around the globe on their hunt for the fountain's location. Gleeson's character has paid for this elaborate heist in the hopes that the fountain's waters will heal his terminal cancer. Fountain of Youth has all the makings of a great adventure film. A stacked cast, beautiful locations, exciting chase sequences. Seriously, Guy Ritchie knows how to direct a chase. And a legend that is just plausible enough to believe. The problem, however, is that it never quite coheres into a single fluid narrative. For one, the casting is a miss here. Portman, as always, is terrific, and chalk it up to her Harvard education, but she might have made a better lead than Krasinski, who quips his way from one giant set piece to another without a care in the world. I'm seriously tired of the Ryan Reynolds character in so many of these action films, where nothing matters until the very end when a life-changing and life-threatening choice must be made. The other characters, like the Interpol inspector and Purdue's team, have just enough to do to make them interesting. But Gleeson is wasted as the billionaire CEO in search of a cure. He's along for the ride, but only really gets to do anything when the team needs to hop on a private plane to a new destination, or they need access to a top secret document. But what really disappointed me about Fountain of Youth was just how derivative it was. And I get it, treasure hunt movies are all essentially the same film, but this one felt lazier than most. Honestly, it was like the screenwriters cherry-picked their favorite moments from other movies and massaged them into this one. We have the Thomas Crown-esque theft of a painting from a museum, the very clear nod to 1981's Raise the Titanic, another treasure hunting film, with Krasinski and the others lifting a chunk of the Lusitania from the bottom of the ocean, and the blatant rehash of some Indiana Jones plot points. Take the primary antagonists, for example, a secret order of protectors who will not rest until the Purdues and their team stop their search for the fountain. And once they find it, Krasinski's character is shot as incentive to literally test the waters. And let's not forget the scene where the main characters escape their pursuers by sneaking through a hole in a library floor into the sewers. We might as well call this film Jim Halpert and the Last Crusade. That said, there's enough here for adventure fans to hang their fedoras on. Unlike most direct to streaming films, Fountain of Youth feels cinematic. It's a big film with big sets and big action. The POV car chase near the start of the film is fun and exhilarating and mildly nausea inducing. And the climax that occurs in the depths of the Great Pyramid is grand in scope, even if it is entirely done via green screen. But then there are the moments, like how there's literally no one at the Great Pyramid in Egypt. No tourists, no locals, no souvenir stands. Just nothing. And once they get inside, the villains just start drilling and exploding their way to the center with no regard for booby traps or basic spatial awareness. Also, so many locations are practically devoid of people. The museum where Natalie Portman's character works has no guests roaming the halls and feels oddly cramped. These anomalies highlight my biggest complaint about the film, its lack of verisimilitude. That word became a mantra for Richard Donner during production of the 1978 Superman movie. It was meant to remind everyone involved that what they were striving for was believability within the universe they created. And while Fountain of Youth is fun, exciting, and occasionally funny, it lacks authenticity in both its cast and execution. Krasinski doesn't come off as someone passionate about archaeology or even fortune and glory. He doesn't seem passionate about anything except stealing things, getting the last word, and antagonizing his sister. Nicolas Cage made you believe he lived and breathed American history. Harrison Ford convinced you he was a teacher who robbed graves to protect their treasures from worse people. But Krasinski doesn't pull any of that off here. Call it miscasting, call it a poorly written character, call it both. Either way, he drags the whole thing down. And then there's the ending, which comes out of nowhere with a supernatural bent that doesn't feel believable in the slightest. Where the Indiana Jones films had old time religion and faith to back up their MacGuffins, Fountain of Youth concocts a fantastical conclusion that doesn't fit tonally with the rest of the film. I had originally given Fountain of Youth 3.5 stars out of 5, but in writing this review, I realized there's a lot more wrong with this film than there is right. So now I'm giving it 2.5 stars out of 5. You can watch Fountain of Youth now on Apple TV Plus. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time in the lobby.